Good morning, everyone. How was everyone today on March 1st? Can you believe it? Finally, we have arrived at March. So very, very tired of the cold weather. So very tired of the gloom. My gosh, I don't think I can take anymore. I seriously was thinking about just going to a tanning booth just so I could get some color and some heat. I'm so cold. I threw a few highlights in my hair yesterday to try to get me into that beach mode. Rocking my gypsy look today, getting ready to work on an itinerary for a jewelry class that I'm going to be teaching through Eventbrite and Devil St. Louis. If you see me going back and forth, I am live on Facebook and I am recording for YouTube. And I'm noticing the different quality. My phone is so much better quality than my iPad. Just using what I have, like we all need to do when we are starting out. You use what gifts and talents you have and what technology that you have so you don't go broke till you were able to up your game and change the level and go to a different phone or a different computer or a different tablet. You work with what you have in order to get you to that next step. This past week, we laid my Uncle Tony to rest. You know, we were all talking about how old he was. 90, 92, 93. My grandma was 13 years older than him. That was her baby brother. My Uncle Tony was a shoe cobbler. My Uncle Tony and my grandfather and my Uncle John and my great-grandfather Carl, they were shoe cobblers. Carl Trippy, he came over on a boat from Italy. My Uncle Tony's father, Carl was my grandfather's father. My Uncle Tony's father was Pete, and he was a barber. He also came over on the boat. They settled in at Ellis Island, came through, signed in, however they did back in those days, and they ended up living on the same street across from each other. If you see me stop YouTube, it's because I lost my connection with Facebook, and I'm just going to give it a minute, because I know it always tries to do this when I'm going live. So bear with me here a minute. If I can edit this out, I will. If not, I'll just roll with it. Facebook fails me sometimes, and it's not real fun or pretty when I'm trying to tell a story. Bear with me. I don't know why it does this. Oh, there we go. I knew we would come back. Sorry, YouTube. So anyway, as my grandfathers, great-grandfathers were being relocated from Italy and they were coming over, both of my great-grandmothers knew each other from the other country. And it just so happened they had went to school together in the same convent. So my grandpa, being involved with my grandma, of course, brother-sister married brother-sister. So we had the Saputo side and we had the Trippy side. Well, my grandpa married my grandma, and my grandma's brother married my grandpa's sister. So follow that. Brother-sister married brother-sister. So anyway, my grandpa, being a shoe cobbler, took my Uncle Tony under his wings. Now, why am I telling this story? I'm telling this story because of the gifts and the talents and the craft that you have and the people that teach you things that you know how to do. Both of my great-grandmothers were great cooks. They were seamstresses. My grandmother, Dorothy, was a wonderful seamstress. And I sat many, many times at the sewing machine with her, and we would have these fabulous conversations. And, you know, we would talk about the stitches and we would talk about patterns. Well, it's no different with my Uncle Tony or my grandpa. A shoe cobbler, you have a pattern, and you follow the pattern, you repair the shoe or you build the shoe. And it was an innate gift and a talent. And I don't think it's hard that anybody who really knows me understands who I take after or why it's so important for me to talk about the importance of keeping that right side of your brain open and taking that talent or that gift or something that you were taught from somebody at a young age. And, you know, we all need to make money. We all need to have some kind of job and direction and a focus. But it's those innate gifts and talents and the things that people teach us that we can take with us to make a living, to create a side hustle, to have a little extra cash, to have a hobby that keeps you fulfilled, takes up some time. Idle minds. Idle minds are a waste of time. Idle hands are a waste. You know, we have a generation of kids who don't know how to use tools. We have a generation of kids who can't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. We have kids that do not know how to operate a hand maneuver can opener. And it's sad. I think these gifts that we have, that we need to instill it within our children. Maybe my kids are a little different. Maybe because I came from that generation caught between, do you stay home with your kids or do you go to work? I was able to do a little bit of both up until my older kids, probably 12 and 16. I worked just a very handful, a day or two possibly. I cleaned a rectory for a Catholic school, and I cleaned houses. I'd always had my hand in art just because I'm an artist, and my family, was pretty talented when it came to music and painting and so on and so forth. But anyway, with my own kids, when I was able to stay home with them, I was able to sit down and I was able to teach them some of the things that I was taught from my grandparents, some of the things that I was taught from my dad, because my dad was pretty hands-on, pretty crafty in his own kind of way. It was only when I had to go back to work, when Tyler came along, when I really decided, that being a single mom meant that I needed to walk my talk and be able to show my child that you can have the best of both worlds. So because my family, way back in that other generation, we had always been in the restaurant industry too. We were barbers, we were shoe cobblers, we were seamstresses, and we had family that was in the imports business, groceries, and in the restaurant business. So all of those things, were pretty much given to me when I was born. And although I do like to say my higher power said, I'm sending you to this place and you're going to have options and you have your own talents and you're going to have to learn some things. But all these things, you already have these gifts inside of you. So you're going to get to a point when you're going to be able to utilize all these talents that you have. Jason is very hands-on. Jason can draw. Jason is learning how to paint. I love when he says, Mom, can you help me do this? Rachel is a fantastic baker. She decorates cakes. She can sew. She's a school teacher. I can't think of another trade that, that benefits from other people, other kids who were learning from her the things, not only scholastically, but the stories and the innate gifts and talents that she has. Then we have Tyler. Tyler's my hands-on kid. Tyler can draw. Tyler can cook. Tyler can paint. He chooses not to, although he likes doing construction. He'll be graduating from high school in May. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. Let's get this last kid through school. And he's talking about going to a trade school. He's talking about going to Rankin. He had talked about going into the electrical field. which is fine because we all know my electric here in the house absolutely sucks. Can't run the refrigerator, the coffee pot, the dishwasher, the microwave, the washer, the dryer. It's all in the same circuit. So as soon as Tyler gets his certification, or however that works, he can change his mother's electric out. But anyway, being hands-on. And I think all three of my kids have benefited from the fact that all those years that I did stay home and I was able to take that time. They also saw the importance of what it meant to me to go to work and to be able to make $1. I can think back in the days, in my Bailey Brother days, and Bailey Brothers, for all of you who don't know what it was a bar and grill. Nighttime was mostly a bar, daytime was mostly a restaurant, and after my divorce in 94, when I went to go waitress, at that time in 1994, and this is no lie, I was making $900 a week, waitressing 4 days a week. Now, I still waitress a couple days a week now, but we have a different generation. Liquor laws have changed. Drinking and driving is not suggested on any level. Laws have just changed. The economy has changed. We have all gotten older. You know, I'm going to be 58 in July. You know, my nighttime of going out, I'm happier being at home. Come home to a pet. But my hand in food and beverage now compared to my hand in food and beverage is completely different. Different time, different generation, different type establishment, different type customers. Those are all things that make a difference in any kind of a business. But my point in it, my kids saw that when you do something you like and you are good at what you do, you are able to make as much money as you possibly can. There is no limit. There is no cap on that ceiling. And what you put into it is what you get back to it. So my kids saw me go to work. They saw me become an artist. They saw me doing the things that I wanted to do to make some money. And because it just made me happy. You know, I like teaching how to open up that right side of your brain. I like talking about having gifts and talents and having that higher power and believing in faith and believing in innate talents that we are born with, that I don't understand why people don't utilize their gifts and their talents. You know, it's no longer your folks worked in an industry and you follow in that same trade. You know, I think that probably stopped. Let's see, I graduated high school in 1979. My mind is going to do a little work here. My Uncle Ted worked for Monsanto. He was an instrumental technician, instrumental engineer, and he had always said, I can get you a job, I can get you a job. And by the time I was ready to go into the workforce, which at that time I chose to stay home with my kids, it was no longer available. You couldn't follow. You know, corporations were changing the way that they did things, their structures. They didn't want families in their companies anymore. They wanted to hire fresh blood. They wanted to hire people out of college that had different skills. So you take your talents and you take your gifts and you have to do something. And because I was able to force feed and because I can talk a person to death, I just chose to go into the food and beverage industry. And you hear me say a lot of times, I do like food and beverage. You know, I do like talking food. I do like talking with a variety of different customers. I like being able to tell people how multifaceted I am, because you never know who you're going to talk to. You never know who's going to come into contact with you that they are going to say, hey, I'd love to take one of your classes, or I'd love to be able to buy one of your products, or I'd love to be able to just sit and talk with you. Your life sounds absolutely, you know, interesting. It's the interesting person that you can be that makes people want to get to know you. It is all your gifts and your talents and the words that you choose and the way that you write things and the way that you carry yourself in all conversations. You know, I have been doing this. I started doing it in 2009 after I lost my big job. I was an event coordinator for a banquet facility. And I started doing these little art projects, and I started selling some of my paintings and everything. And I went to work. Prior to all that, for a part-time little gig, I worked at Michael's, and I taught for Michael's for a lot of years. You know, I taught their floral, I taught jewelry. I worked under Shannon Crossan, and if anybody knows who she is the do-it-yourself daily on YouTube. And kudos to her for her success. Her and I had a great time when we worked together. You know, we were able to plan events, and we were able to teach these classes, and we were able to do these demos, and she went on in one direction and I went off into another direction. But it's about being true to your core. It's about still being able to do the things that you love to do, because that's how you make your money. So as I have my hand in food and beverage still 2 days a week at a place in our South County, you know, I'm still teaching these classes, and I'm using Dabble St. Louis and Eventbrite as my third-party marketing. I am looking for an intern to work with me for some photography and some social media. So if you know of a college student that is looking to get their feet wet, to start their career, there will be some perks in the position. It is here in St. Louis, Missouri. They will be meeting with me 2 or 3 times a week. I want to change up my blog. I want to change up my websites. I want to do some more, have some more social media pictures. And I think it's a good opportunity for any college student who is going into the social media marketing industry, because that's where we are leaning towards. And although I like that one-on-one or that group of people in front of me, we still need social media, just like I'm doing the YouTube video, just like I'm going live on Facebook. We need these things to help grow and to build our credibility for what we are trying to do. Yesterday in my post on Facebook, and for my YouTube people, that is KM Designs, A Writer's Mind, I talked a little bit about being an independent rep. An independent rep has a product that they sell to a customer basis. You're not affiliated with the company. You're not a part-time employee. You're not a full-time employee. It's you are working at your leisure to make money. There is no set time. There is no set schedule. There is no set income. It's a commission-based position. Becoming a brand rep, you are working for the company. You show the product, you talk about the product, and you are representing the brand, and you continue to be paid for working for the brand. As a brand rep, you get free merchandise. As a brand rep, you are invited to go and speak on their behalf. Fortunately, I am a brand rep. I do brand repping for quite a few companies, and with that brand rep, then there's affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is where you take and you put pictures up on your website, up on your blog, and anybody that clicks or buys from your site, you get a residual income. And these are things that I talk about and things that I teach in my coaching classes, my business coaching classes. You know, I do a little bit of personal mentoring. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. Don't play one on TV. Have no big degree behind me. I've taken some classes, taken some courses, and it just so happens that I understand sociology. I have taken several years of psychology classes way back in the day. But that doesn't make me a doctor, but it makes me a human being, a woman who has lived real life experiences, and I understand the dynamics of relationships. I understand what it's like to be involved with an alcoholic. I understand what it's like growing up in an alcoholic family. I understand what it's like being the oldest of 5, and although I only have one sister, we grew up in a household, and each of us played a role. I understand the dynamics of what it's like for, to be an only child, having everything doted on them. And I lost my connection. Oh, here we go. So, Facebook, please stop losing my connection here. The point I'm making in all of this, and I apologize for anybody who is watching live, and when I lose connection, it's just as frustrating for me. But I understand the dynamics of how your birth order plays a big role in your life. I understand the dynamics of having step parents. I understand the dynamics of having stepchildren. Am I an expert? Absolutely not. I'm going to have a different opinion than you, but I can tell you from my experiences what worked and what didn't work. And any parent who pits their children up against their significant other, there is something more going on behind that scene than that child, because that child or children don't know any difference. They are just following lead from the parent. With my own children, I've always said, you make the situation comfortable, whether you like it or not. I'm the parent. I make the rules. I'm doing what's best for all of us. And, I'm not the perfect parent. I don't claim to be. But thus far, my 3 children are pretty successful. My 3 children are heading into a direction, and me as a single working mom doing what I love, my life thus far has been pretty successful with a few setbacks. I didn't want to get sick in 2013, but God had another plan. And every day I strive to be healthy. I make better choices about how I exercise, how I live. I'm doing okay. I'm still at about 118 pounds. I'm still a size 5. I'm 5 foot. Life is good. I really, really can't complain. And these are things that I talk about in any of my classes about living in abundance, about being grateful for all the opportunities and the things that do happen to you. We have a story. We have stories from when we were kids. We have stories from when we are teenagers. We have stories about the friends that we hang around with. We have adult stories. We have work stories. It is the human connection that we have and the influences that it makes on our lives. And you have opportunities and you have choices. And there are always benefits and consequences with that choice. You are free to choose, but you are not free from the consequence of the choice. And if you have chosen correctly, there are benefits that go along with it. And in my life, there has been plenty of benefits. When I teach law of attraction is about bringing all the good things into your life, manifesting all of your dreams. And we talk about your Akashic record. We talk about that pact, that soul contract that you have with your higher power. We talk about all the things that you are entitled to in this life, and they just don't get handed to you. You have to understand and be aware of the things that you're attracted to, and there's a reason why you are attracted to certain things. There is a reason why you are attracted to certain people. Alike attracts alike. If you're a lousy person and you steal and you cheat and you lie, odds are you're going to come across somebody who does the same thing, somebody who's trying to take something from you. If you are an interesting individual and you have really good work ethics, you're going to come across somebody who is an interesting person, who has really good work ethics. Alike attracts alike, and there is such thing as mirror images. And these are things that we talk about too, in my law of attraction class. I love horses. I have been fortunate that I was able to have those synchronicities open for me where I have been able to work with horses. I have taught a variety of classes. I have always said I want to teach. My biggest influence in teaching, for any of you that went to grade school with me at Scruggs, Mrs. Hanson. I cannot think of a better influence than the art teacher that what she had on any of us. And although we may not all be an artsy kind of person, I'm telling you that woman still made an impact in any of our lives. So, today I'm reflecting on my Uncle Tony and the life that he lived and the craft and all the years. He had a shoe shop in Webster Groves. He was a wonderful, wonderful human being. Drove Cadillacs all his life, smoked cigars, was just a genuine, genuine good person. My grandma, she loved her baby brother, and she pretty much wanted to take care of him and fed him, up until pretty much the day she died, when she was in the hospital and she was trying to, feed everybody in the hospital. And although she was a little bit out of her mind, she kept saying, "Who's stirring the sauce?" So I can only imagine this week with my Uncle Tony passing what heaven looks like. My sister's godfather, Joe Measy, he played the piano, he played the accordion. My grandpa, he played the bass guitar, was in a band for a lot of years. My mom being a singer. All my aunts and uncles who have gone before. There was one major, major party this week in heaven. And the best that I can hope is when Uncle Tony got up there, he said to everybody, and excuse me if I tear up, or if I get a little choked up, because all my family is gone, other than my kids, my sister, and a few little cousins here and there. I can only hope that Uncle Tony told my grandma how well we all are doing. My mom and my dad and my grandpa, to let them know how we are thriving with life and the talents and the gifts that they have given us, how each of us have gone on to become very, very successful. So I didn't say in the beginning, but I will say it now, and I apologize for choking up a little bit, but it's been a very emotional kind of week. You relive a lot of stories, and it's important to tell the stories. But I am Kitrynmarie. I reside in St. Louis, Missouri. I am an artist, a writer, a speaker, a life and a business coach. I teach a variety of art classes. I teach jewelry classes. I teach law of attraction. I teach painting. I teach bottle art. I teach floral design. I teach law of attraction. I said that, I believe, but if there's anything that I can do for you, reach out. My classes are very affordable. If you're interested in a coaching session and online, I can do an hour for $35. If you're in the St. Louis area and you want a one-on-one or even a group, it's $45 per person, and you get me for 2 hours. Most of my classes are $35 per class, or $45 per person per class. You can see all my work at kitryn-marie.weebly.com, or you can go over to kmgraphicapparelandart.weebly.com to see all the classes that I offer. Keeping fingers crossed for this March 1st. Spring is going to be around the corner. I am booking a lot more classes. I have open enrollment in anything that I have right now. I do my private classes here in my home. If you have a location and you want to have a group of your friends, just let me know. I don't mind traveling. I don't know what traveling I will be doing this year. I was very fortunate, very blessed last year that I was able to take a couple really, really nice trips, well-deserved trips for 2 people. But life changes. Life happens. You don't know what side of the coin that you're going to end up, but you have a direction, and you want to be positive. You want to be able to allow all the good things in your life to come your way. You want to be grateful, and you want to pray for all the right things to come into your life. You want to pray that all situations work in the way that they're supposed to. You don't know how things are going to turn out. You might think you're on one path, and then something happens and the path changes. There are no mistakes in this life. The higher powers set it out before you. You know, there are lousy people in this world, and lousy people do rotten things, but there's a reason behind why they do these things. And then when they start to recognize the action and they start to recognize their patterns is when they choose to make amends. When they choose to say, I'm sorry that I did this to you, and I'm sorry that I created this havoc and drama and chaos and crisis, because not everybody wants to live in drama, chaos, and crisis. So if there's something that I can do for you, please reach out. My life is an open book. All inquiries are welcome. If there is somebody that you feel needs to hear this video, share. Share my words, share my video. You are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around with. If you choose to have a lesser life and choose to live a substandard life and continue to hang with substandard people, you will never evolve, you will never awaken, you will never become a successful person in this life. You have these gifts, you have these talents, and now is a great, great time to use them. So again, I am Kitrynmarie. I'm an artist, a writer, a speaker, a life and a business coach. If there is something I can do for you, please reach out. Enjoy the day, stay warm, be happy, and be blessed. Take care, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.